Hey everyone, welcome to Wonder with me. It's been a while. I haven't recorded a podcast. Something told me to record this podcast today. Something told me to leave this message. I've been thinking, keeping the situation in mind, I've been thinking about why is it that we crave democracy? Is it just political or is it psychological, social? Before we go any further, let me be clear. This is not about supporting any political party or ideologies. It isn't about left or right. It's about something far more fundamental. It's about the relationship between not the left and the right, but the bottom and the top of every hierarchy. Whether that hierarchy is a nation, a school, a family, or an organization. At its heart, democracy is not just a political system. It's a psychological need. Human beings don't merely want to be governed. They want to be seen, heard, and actually matter. Psychology tells us that people grow, flourish when three basic needs are met. The first one is autonomy. That means my voice matter, my presence matter. Second is competence. I can contribute, I can make a change, I can be relevant in the process of transformation. And the third and the most important is a relatedness. I belong. I belong here. I'm a part of this tribe. When these needs are ignored, dismissed, people don't simply become disobedient. They actually become disconnected. And that disconnection eventually, over a period of time, finds a voice. Sometimes it can show as anxiety, sometimes it can be a withdrawal, and sometimes it's a rebel. Every protest, whether on the streets, in the classroom, or at home, is often asking the same question. Will someone listen before I have to shout? I repeat that again. Will someone listen before I have to shout? That is why I believe that the conversation isn't about left and right. It's about top, bottom versus top. Those are the bottom of any hierarchy, that structure. It could be citizens, it could be employees, students, children, Gen Zs, Gen X, Gen Alphas. They're asking for something profoundly human. They all are. We all are asking for something that is so basic. Hear me. Listen to me. And the responsibility of those at the top is not just to show them the way or to lead. It is to create conditions where people feel heard, even when they cannot always get what they want. Don't get me wrong. Listening is not an agreement. It's not agreeing to them. And validation is not a surrender. Democracy does not mean everyone gets their way. It means that everyone believes that their voice has a place, has some dignity and honor. That is where trust actually becomes. What does this mean for, let's say, parents? If you're a parent, what does this mean to you? Children live in their first democracy, or it could be a dictatorship at home, long before they learn about, let's say, protest or government, whether it is, their voice are being welcomed or punished, whether their disagreement is safe or dangerous, whether their emotions and feelings are listened or just dismissed. A democratic home does not mean children make all the decisions. Parents still remains the leader. They still remain that top authority. But wise parents actually understand the difference between that authority and being an authoritarian or bringing that authoritarianism. Because authority actually says, I will make the decisions, but before I make that decision, I'll hear you first. Whereas authoritarianism says, do as I told because I said so. And now that you have done this, you're going to get punished. You're going to get back. You're going to get a whack. One builds trust, the other builds compliance. Children don't need parents who surrender their leadership. They actually need parents who exercise their leadership with dignity, with fairness, and with respect. And how does democracy look like at home? That's another question I've been asking. And there are a few points that I jotted down. In a democratic home setup, children are encouraged to ask respectful questions. Their feelings are acknowledged, even when their behaviors need to be changed or not acceptable. Family rules are explained. They're just not, imposed mindlessly. Parents actually listen before correcting, so that means it's connection before correcting. Children are invited to actually participate in age-appropriate decisions. It could be, what do you want to eat today? To where do we want to go for a holiday? It's also a place where there is repair after conflict. That means the parents sit down and they know that there is some repair needs to be done because there was a disagreement and there's a conflict. It's like saying a yes before no. So every child knows that even when my parents say no, they will still hear me. And that's a democratic home setup. Because children don't rebel against boundaries. More often they rebel against feeling that sense of being invisible. Now, if you're a school, what does this mean for you? Children actually, in reality, occupy the lowest position in the school hierarchy. Every day they knock on the doors of teachers, coordinators, principals, and parents. Not always with words, but through behaviors, questions, mistakes, emotions, and even silence. Every behavior is asking the same thing. Can I bring my whole self to this place? The moment we repeatedly dismiss or shame them or silence those signals, we may definitely gain compliance, but we lose connection. And once the connection is lost, learning for sure begins to disappear. So a school that is built on democratic principles looks and sounds like this. A few points for you. Students are invited to question respectfully, not merely obey. So you'll find these points very similar to the home democratic setup. Teachers are encouraged to challenge their ideas without fear. Parents actually become partners rather than, being like the counterparts. Support staffs are treated as valued members of the learning community. Leadership listens, to their coordinators, head of department before deciding, or even students. They actually listen to them before deciding. Decisions are explained even when they cannot satisfy everybody else, like everyone is not satisfied with it. Decisions are explained. Feedback is welcomed, not feared. Authority is, of course, exercised with humility and not superiority. Now, this is not a school without a structure. This is a school actually where authority and dignity coexist. Now, that's the magic word. It's about coexisting. Because if I have to bring my points to left and right, I was having this conversation with someone and they said, I'm on the left and I'm very unhappy about being on the left. Then I told them, I said, if you're on the left, you will always find the right. Where there is a right, there's going to be a left. And that's how you tend to coexist. That's how it balances out. So, a school which brings in authority and dignity and coexisting it beautifully is what a democratic society or a democratic culture in a school looks like. In a classroom, democracy looks like not very different from how a home and school is. Students are allowed to ask the question whys without being, labeled disrespectfully. Mistakes become opportunity for learning rather than, occasions for embarrassment. Every child has moments to speak, moments to listen to. Every agreements are created with students. Just not for them, it's actually with them. Curiosity is rewarded. Teachers actually model changing their minds when presented with better ideas and evidences and better questions. Every child is actually left with that idea and the belief that my voice matters over here. So, a lesson for every leader. So, if you're a leader, this is for you. Now, whether you're a parent, actually not only a school leader, whether you're a parent or a principal or a CEO or a teacher or a public servant for that matter, the principle remains the same. People cannot accept decisions they disagree with if they believe they were genuinely heard. That is the psychology of democracy. It doesn't mean that everything is accepted. It's just that they feel genuinely that they've been heard. So it's not the absence of authority, but it's actually presence of dignity. So perhaps that is what our children are trying to teach us, whether it's at society, at home, or in schools, the Gen Zs today. Before people ask to be followed, they first ask to be heard. And perhaps, just perhaps, the deepest expression of democracy is not found in elections. It is found in everyday relationships where those with power choose to listen before they lead. Think about this. If you're a teacher, a parent, or a leader, we all are somewhere creating a culture, creating those top to bottom processes and protocols where we are knowingly, unknowingly creating a system that is either going to build a child or make him or her feel broken. And trust me, when they feel broken is when they come out. They come out loudly, and there's also anger and all the feelings that's suppressed also somewhere comes out. It's a process of healing. So think about this. Have a brilliant day. Bye-bye.